The MBTA commuter rail, Go Transit, two well-known rail networks known for their unique equipment, vibrant paint schemes, and serving the respective cities of Boston and Toronto well. The twin agencies haven't even run their equipment together for obvious reasons. However, there was a time when the MBTA used Go Transit coaches. What? Well, let's look into this unique anomaly. Our story begins in the mid 1960s in Canada. The newly formed Government of Ontario Transit, or GO for short, was going to start a new commuter service over what is today the Lakeshore West Line. They had selected EMD. Oh, wait, I meant GMD to build 8 GP40 TCs, a passenger variant of the GP40. But of course, Go Transit needed coaches to run alongside at the TCs. Go ultimately selected Hawker Siddeley, based in Mississauga, Canada, to build 49 passenger units. Of these, 32 would be normal coaches, 8 would be cab cars, and 9 would be self-propelled diesel multiple units. The coaches were originally numbered 4700 to 4731 for normal coaches, C750 to C757 for cab cars, and 9825 to 9833 for the DMUs. The coaches would be classified as RTC 85s, standing for Rail Transit car that would be 85 feet long. The DMU cars would have an SP added to the end, stand for self-propelled, with 2 cars also having a D at the end as well, standing for dual cabbed. All cars would arrive on time for this Go Transit service start in 1967. The RTC 85s in their first years proved reliable, with Go Transit placing additional orders for 68 more RTC 85 coaches that would be delivered until 1976. So everything seemed fine. Well, almost everything. The self-propelled cars proved to be insufficient for larger amounts of passengers, and the Rolls-Royce diesel engine were plagued with issues, and also they were incredibly underpowered, having only 330 horsepower. Ultimately, Go Transit decided to have 7 of the RTC 85 SPs to be converted into standard cab cars, where they proved more reliable. I suggest you check out Cal Unit Productions' video on the self-propelled cars, as it goes into more detail about the self-propelled RTC 85s. Meanwhile, over in Boston, the MBTA recently took control of all commuter rail operations from the Boston Main and Penn Central. During their first years, the MBTA commuter rail would be stuck with rusted coaches from the Penn Central, as well as clapped out Bud RDCs from the Boston Main. Despite this, the MBTA was still in equipment shortage. An equipment shortage happens when there is not enough locomotives or coaches available to meet daily passenger needs. Meanwhile, on the Blue Line subway, new 600 series subway cars would enter service in 1977 and prove quite reliable. The MBTA during this time was practically begging for coaches to temporarily increase service until newer cars could arrive. Influenced by the 600's reliability, the MBTA decided to ask Go Transit if they could borrow some coaches and cab cars. At this point in time, with the arrival of bi-level cars from Bombardier, some of the Go Transit's RTC 85 cars weren't really being used, and so a deal was reached. MBTA would ultimately lease 48 RTC 85 coaches and cab cars in 1979, and the cars came just in time as rebuilt EMD FP10 locomotives equipped with HEP arrived that same year. Also in 1979, new 1200 series cars for the Orange Line subway entered service, further proving the reliability of Hawker Siddeley equipment. Between 1979 and 1980, the coaches could be seen all along the MBTA system, always paired up with an FP10. The Go coaches would prove to be a good cast on the MBTA commuter rail. But of course, There's always a time limit. As new coach cars built by Pullman and EMD F40PHs came onto the scene, the MBTA no longer had a need for the RTC 85s, as in 1980, all would be returned to Go Transit, where they would either be put back into service or restored. All wasn't over, though, for these cars in Boston, as in 1984, the MBTA decided to borrow 51 RTC 85 coaches from Go Transit as a response and to another equipment shortage from the retirement of many steam-heated coaches. And just like before, these cars could be seen running all over the MBTA system again, with FP10s as locomotives. However, again, their time wasn't long, as in 1985, all 51 RTC 85s were returned to Go Transit as the MBTA coach shortage ended. It was rumored that the MBTA considered Hawker's fleet to build new commuter coaches, but ultimately selected MBB and later Bombardier to build fleets of single-level cars between 1987 and 1990. Meanwhile, back up north in Toronto, the RTC 85 cars would continue serving Go Transit until all cars were withdrawn from service in 1995, following multiple orders of bi-level coaches from Bombardier. 92 cars were sold to AMT in Montreal for continued commuter service. 23 were sold to Ontario Northland and for the Northlander service between Toronto and James Bay. And 11 cars are being sold to PJET for rail grinder operations. The remaining 6 cars were scrapped. In 2017, long after the cars were sold off, Car 104 was reacquired by Go Transit and restored to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Transit Corporation. Currently, the car is displayed at the Toronto Railway Museum on the Roundhouse in downtown Toronto. While the RTC 85 coaches leased from Go Transit were only a small footnote in MBTA history, they proved effective during the equipment shortages and always is available to whatever passenger job was needed. They shall forever be remembered on Go Transit in Toronto and the MBTA, the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority.